Have you ever noticed that the more people around you, the lonelier you feel? That the noise of the world seems to scream louder and louder while all you want is silence? It's no coincidence. There comes a moment in life when something shifts inside, and suddenly what everyone else considers normal starts to suffocate you. Parties, empty conversations, social media, opinions about everything and everyone. And there you are, just wanting peace. If you identified with this video is for you. Because today I'm going to show you that loving silence isn't weakness, isn't weirdness, isn't a problem. It's a sign that you've finally started to understand yourself. Seeking silence doesn't happen overnight. In the beginning, you don't even notice. You accept the invitations, go to the places, try to fit in. But over time, something changes. You start to feel a weight, a tiredness that isn't physical. It's like every noisy environment drains your energy, like every meaningless conversation steals a piece of your peace. And then you realize, it's not that the world changed, you changed. This change didn't come from loneliness, it came from clarity. You finally understood what's good for you and what's bad for you. And this isn't isolation, it's self-awareness. It's learning to listen to yourself. It's the understanding that not everything others consider normal needs to be normal for you. Every person has a rhythm, a need, a way of existing, and your way asks for silence, asks for space, asks for less noise and more peace. Recognizing this isn't a problem, it's maturity. It's having the courage to be different in a world that demands conformity. It's having the courage to go against the current when everyone else is going the same way. And this conscious choice for silence is the first step of a journey that will transform you completely. Because you're not running away from life. You're finally starting to live your way, in your time, on your frequency. And this scares people who live on autopilot, but it frees those who allow themselves to feel. But the world doesn't understand this. The world demands presence. And it's not a subtle demand, it's a constant and suffocating pressure. It wants you to always be available, always responding to messages right away, always accepting invitations, always posting on social media to prove you're living. Society values those who show up, who speak loudly, who are everywhere at once, who are always connected, always active, always visible. And nobody talks about the price of this. Nobody mentions that this constant demand steals your inner peace, fragments your attention, empties your essence. You become a hostage to a social performance that doesn't ask permission to enter your life. It's as if existing required a permanent show, as if living were synonymous with appearing. And when you finally realize this, when you understand that this pressure is violent and disrespectful, something breaks. You start to question. Why do I need to be everywhere? Why do I need to respond to everyone immediately? Why do I need to prove I'm living? Why is my peace worth less than others' expectations? These questions set you free, because you realize you don't have to. That this demand doesn't come from you, it comes from outside. That you have every right to refuse this game, to choose another path, to value your peace above others' approval. And that's where your true freedom begins. The noise of the world isn't just sound. This is the part few people understand. Noise isn't just loud music or heavy traffic. Noise is the non-stop notifications on your phone. It's the message groups with hundreds of parallel conversations that say nothing. It's the unsolicited opinions about how you should live, about what you should do, about who you should be. It's the empty conversations that lead nowhere, that just fill space but don't create connection. It's the endless arguments on social media about things that don't matter. It's the infinite feed of perfect lives that don't exist, of people faking happiness, of comparisons that make you feel insufficient. It's the gossip, other people's drama, superficiality disguised as social interaction. We live surrounded by emotional noise 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all of this is sold as if it were connection, as if it were real life, but it's not. It's theater. It's a grand collective performance where everyone pretends they're okay, that they're happy, that they're fulfilled. And the sensitive person, the person who thinks, who feels, who observes, sees through this charade before others do. They see that behind the loud laughter there's emptiness, that behind the perfect photos there's loneliness, that behind all this agitation there's an enormous fear of stopping and facing yourself. And when you realize this, You can't pretend you don't see it anymore. You can't participate in the game anymore. You simply leave, and you search for something real, something true, something that actually fills you. And many times, you find that in silence. If you're someone who overthinks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your mind never stops. You analyze every conversation you had during the day, question every decision you made, feel every emotion deeply and intensely. You can't simply experience things superficially. Everything in you goes deep. And this isn't a flaw, but it's not easy either. For people like this, silence isn't emptiness. Silence isn't absence. Silence is the only space where you can organize your thoughts, process your emotions, make sense of everything you absorb during the day. Without this refuge, mental overload becomes a giant snowball. You can't rest properly, can't think clearly, can't be yourself. Your head gets full of information, stimuli, external demands, and you lose the thread. You lose connection with what really matters, with what really moves you. That's why silence becomes essential. It's not a luxury. It's not an exaggeration. It's not being dramatic. It's a basic necessity. It's emotional survival. It's the place where you find yourself again, where you separate what's yours from what they pushed onto you, where you clear your mind and reconnect with your essence. And the more you think, the more you feel, the more you need this. Because a mind that doesn't stop needs silence to not explode. It needs empty space to not overflow in a destructive way. When you start to evolve like this, when you start to truly know yourself, something very interesting happens. Environments that were completely normal for you before start to suffocate you. That club you went to every weekend suddenly becomes sonic hell. That group of friends who only talk about trivial things, about gossip, about constant complaining, becomes a weight you don't want to carry anymore. That accelerated rhythm of always doing something, always running, always showing up at social events becomes an unbearable prison. And you ask yourself, did I change too much? Is there something wrong with me? Am I becoming boring, antisocial, problematic? The answer is no. There's nothing wrong with you. What happened is that you evolved, and these spaces didn't evolve with you. You grew, and these environments remain the same size. It's not arrogance to think this. It's pure and simple incompatibility. It's like trying to wear clothes that don't fit anymore. It's not that the clothes are bad or ugly. It's that you grew. Your body changed, and now they don't fit you anymore. The same happens with places, situations, and even people. Your level of consciousness changed. Your emotional frequency changed. You vibrate differently now. That's why certain places, certain people, certain situations don't make sense in your life anymore. They belong to a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. And trying to force a fit is betraying yourself. It's denying your own evolution. It's pretending you haven't changed when you've changed completely. And that makes you sick inside. And when you truly embrace silence, when you really start protecting your peace as if it were the most valuable thing you have, something almost magical happens. Superficial people naturally disappear from your life. They leave on their own, without you needing to cut ties dramatically. They simply go away because they can't deal with someone who doesn't need constant external validation. They leave because you're no longer available for social theatrics, for polite fakeness, for emotional games, for silly competition. You don't feed unnecessary drama anymore. You don't participate in destructive gossip anymore. You don't fake interest in conversations that lead nowhere anymore. And this deeply bothers those who live off this. Because your authenticity exposes their lack of authenticity. Your peace exposes their internal chaos. Your silence exposes the unnecessary noise they make to hide the emptiness. And as these people leave, you know what remains? What really matters remains. Those who respect your rhythm without demanding from you remain. Those who value your introspection without calling you strange remain. Those who understand your need for peace without judging you as antisocial remain. Those who don't demand performance from you, who don't require constant presence, who understand that you sometimes need to completely disappear to find yourself again, remain. And this isn't loss. On the contrary, this is an enormous gain in quality. It's natural selection of relationships. It's the universe doing the work of cleaning your life, removing what no longer serves to make room for what really matters, for what really nourishes you. Now, it's very important to understand a crucial distinction here. Chosen solitude is not the same thing as forced isolation. They're two completely different things, and many people confuse them. Chosen solitude is when you consciously decide to be alone, because you need to, because you want to, because it restores you inside. It's intentional. It's planned. It's a deliberate act of self-love. It's you recognizing in a mature way that you need this time with yourself to reorganize internally, to heal from old wounds, to understand yourself on deeper layers. Forced isolation is completely different. It's when you're alone but don't want to be. It's when solitude is imposed by circumstances, when it becomes emotional prison, when you feel excluded, abandoned, rejected. It's when you want connection but can't achieve it. The difference between the two is enormous. One frees you and strengthens you. The other imprisons you and weakens you. One gives you power over your own life. The other takes that power away. Choosing to be alone to reconnect with yourself isn't running away from reality. It's pure emotional intelligence. It's knowing that you need this sacred time to not lose yourself in the midst of external noise. It's understanding that healthy solitude prepares you for healthy connections in the future. That you can only truly connect with other people when you're truly connected with yourself first. And this distinction is fundamental because many people blame themselves for needing space, for needing time alone, for needing silence. But you don't need to blame yourself. Needing solitude isn't a character flaw. It's emotional wisdom. The world also confuses all of this. Society simply doesn't understand introspective people. If you're naturally quiet, they call you cold or emotionless. If you don't talk much in social gatherings, they call you arrogant or stuck up. If you're not always available to go out, they call you distant, difficult, or problematic. People put labels on you because they can't understand that there's another way to be. Because society doesn't know how to deal with those who don't need a stage. Doesn't know how to deal with those who don't need an applauding audience. Doesn't know how to deal with those who don't need constant external approval to feel valid as a human being. And this deeply bothers them. It bothers them because you reveal, just by existing the way you are, that there's another way to live. A way that doesn't depend on likes on social media. That doesn't depend on comments validating your choices. That doesn't depend on others' attention all the time. A way that's self-sufficient. That sustains itself from within. That doesn't need external fuel to keep existing. And many times, people who prioritize the surface don't understand this. They look at you and see depth, but interpret it as coldness. They see introspection, but interpret it as pride or superiority. They see silence, but interpret it as emptiness or having nothing to say. But it's none of that. It's just that you have a rich, complex, deep internal world, full of layers, and you don't need to expose all of this all the time to feel valid. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You simply are. And this, for those who live off appearances, is completely incomprehensible. After you truly awaken, after you open your eyes to this entire reality, empty conversations become physically unbearable. That elevator small talk about nothing. That forced social back and forth about the weather, about traffic, about the football game. That conversation about gossip from other people's lives, about who's dating whom, about who bought what. You simply can't anymore. It's not that you think you're better than others. It's not arrogance. It's not being conceited. It's that you value real exchanges, true connections, conversations that go deep. You want to talk about dreams that scare you, about fears that paralyze you, about the meaning of things, about how life transformed you, about what really matters at the end of the day. You want real connection, not social theater to pass the time. You want to look into someone's eyes and feel that there's a soul there, that there's depth, that there's truth, not just a well-adjusted social mask playing a role. And when you realize that the vast majority of social interactions are just facade, just polite protocol, just well-disguised fakeness, you simply prefer silence. Because silence is honest. Silence doesn't pretend to be what it's not. Silence doesn't lie to please. Silence demands absolutely nothing from you, and preferring silence to fakeness isn't lack of manners. It's not being rude. It's emotional honesty. It's refusing to participate in a game you don't want to play anymore, that you don't believe in anymore, that you know is empty. It's choosing authenticity even if that means being alone many times. Because being alone and true to yourself is infinitely better than being accompanied and fake. always has been, always will be. And it's in all this silence, in this empty space you created away from the noise, that something extremely powerful happens. Something the ancient alchemists knew very well thousands of years ago. Alchemy isn't just that story about turning common metals into gold. That was just the external symbol. Deep down, from the beginning, alchemy has been about deep internal transformation. It's the sacred art of taking what's broken inside you and transforming it into something valuable. It's taking the raw pain that hurt you and transforming it into wisdom that strengthens you. It's taking the suffering that bent you and transforming it into evolution that elevates you. It's taking the mental chaos that confused you and transforming it into peace that clarifies you. And you know where this true alchemy happens? In silence. Always in silence. Away from the noise that distracts. Away from the opinions that confuse. Away from the distractions that take you away from yourself. It's there, in that sacred internal laboratory, that you finally process your deepest wounds and transmute them into something else. You take everything that hurt you throughout life, everything that broke you into pieces, everything that made you question your own worth, and transform it into real learning, into true strength, into expanded consciousness. You literally alchemize your pain into emotional gold. And this process doesn't happen in noise, never happens in agitation. It only happens when you have the courage to be alone with yourself, in the deepest silence, and do the internal work that nobody sees. But this alchemical process isn't quick, and it's definitely not comfortable. This is the part nobody tells you when they talk about personal evolution and self-awareness. Internal alchemy requires you to be completely alone with your open wounds, with your past mistakes, with your deepest pains, with your hidden shames. And this hurts in a way that sometimes seems unbearable. It's a slow, gradual process that has no shortcut. You relive situations you'd prefer to forget. You understand destructive patterns you repeated for years. You recognize your own responsibilities in things you always blamed others for. You face truths about yourself that hurt more than any external criticism. And many people give up right in the middle of this process. They give up because the discomfort is too great. Because it hurts too much to face who you really were at certain moments. Because it's easier to go back to the noise, to the distractions, to the superficiality that numbs. But whoever persists, whoever manages to stay there even when everything in you screams to run away, comes out completely transformed on the other side. It's literally dying to an old version of yourself and being reborn in a completely different version. It's leaving behind who you were and becoming who you can really be. And only those who go through this know the power it has. Only those who cross this alchemical fire understand the profound transformation that happens. It's not superficial change, it's total reconstruction of your identity. If you're enjoying this content, you might also like our exclusive material that's in the first pinned comment. And in the middle of this entire alchemical process, something very important happens. In deep silence, you finally manage to separate what's truly yours from what they pushed on you your entire life. You start to distinguish clearly which beliefs are truly yours and which you just inherited from your family without questioning, which values you really believe in and which society shoved into your head, which fears are legitimate based on your experience and which were planted by other people, which dreams were born from your heart and which they sold you as if they were yours. This separation is revolutionary. It's liberating in a way you can't even imagine until you go through it. Because most people live their entire lives carrying the weight of expectations, beliefs, and dreams that aren't even theirs. They live trying to fulfill the life their parents wanted, trying to fit into the model society approves, trying to be the version others expect, and they never discover who they really are underneath all these imposed layers. But silence gives you clarity to make this crucial separation. It allows you to peel all these layers one by one until you reach your true core, until you discover who you are when nobody's watching, when nobody's judging, when nobody's expecting anything from you. And this is real freedom. It's the most liberating thing that exists, discovering your own voice in the midst of 1,000 voices shouting what you should be. And as you advance in this internal alchemy, as you transform yourself in silence, the most important transmutation of all happens. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the protagonist of your own story. This shift in perspective seems small, but it's gigantic. It's the difference between living in reactive mode and living in active mode, between being controlled by life and having control over your life. And this happens when you finally take total responsibility for what you feel, for what you accept, for what you tolerate. It's not about blaming yourself for everything that went wrong. It's about recognizing that you have the power of choice, that you can choose how to react, that you can choose what to accept, that you can choose your boundaries. Before, you probably saw yourself as someone things happened to, someone who suffered the consequences of others' actions, someone who was affected by external circumstances without being able to do anything. But alchemy shows you that you're not a victim. You're the protagonist. You have agency over your own life. And this change in perspective gives you back all the power you had handed over to others. You stop automatically reacting to everything that happens and start acting consciously based on who you chose to be. You stop blaming the world for your problems and start creating solutions. You stop waiting for someone to save you and become your own savior. And this is alchemical transformation at its deepest level. And there's one more crucial thing that happens during this entire process in silence. You reconnect with your intuition in a way you may have never experienced before in your life. That subtle internal voice, that constant noise, always completely muffled. In deep silence, you learn to hear it again. And more than that, you learn to trust it. You learn to differentiate real intuition from disguised fear. You learn to differentiate genuine desire from conditioned desire they sold you. You learn to differentiate your internal truth from all the lies you told yourself to protect yourself. And developing this internal radar, this emotional compass, protects you from so many bad things. It protects you from toxic people because you feel the wrong energy before you even rationally understand why. It protects you from dangerous situations because something inside you lights up an alert. It protects you from wrong choices because you physically feel when something isn't right. You gain access to a layer of reality that most people completely ignore. A subtle layer of information that's only available when you're in silence, when you're connected with yourself, when you're truly present. And this is real power. It's not power over others, it's power over your own life. It's having the internal tools necessary to navigate the world in a safer, more conscious way, more aligned with who you really are. It's living on a level of consciousness different from most people. And as you transform through all this alchemy, as you heal in silence, one thing becomes increasingly clear and evident. The more you heal, the less you tolerate what makes you sick. This isn't you becoming intolerant. It's not you becoming difficult. It's not you overreacting. It's pure emotional health. It's you finally recognizing what always hurt you, but you accepted because you thought it was normal, because you thought it was just how things were, because you thought you didn't deserve better. That friendship that was always toxic but you kept because of history. That competitive work environment that exhausts you but you thought was necessary. That recurring conversation that always brings you down but you participated in to not seem difficult. That person who only shows up in your life when they need something but disappears when you need them. That family member who criticizes you all the time but you tolerate because they're family. Before you swallowed all of this, you accepted it. You normalized it. You thought the problem was you being too sensitive. Now you can't anymore. Your body reacts physically. You feel the discomfort in your stomach. You feel the heavy energy. You feel something's wrong. And this isn't because you got worse as a person. It's exactly the opposite. It's because you improved drastically. Your tolerance level for what's bad, for what's toxic, for what's destructive, decreased because you finally understood deeply, not just rationally but emotionally, that you deserve good things, that you deserve real peace, that you deserve genuine respect, that you deserve truth in relationships. And this selective intolerance to what hurts you isn't a sign of a problem. It's a sign of deep evolution. It's a sign that you're finally putting yourself first. It's a sign that you no longer accept emotional crumbs when you deserve the complete feast. It's a sign that you know your own worth now and aren't willing to negotiate that for external approval, for fear of being alone, for social pressure. And when you truly reach this point, when you really embody this in your being, your life changes in a way that doesn't even seem like the same life as before. Many people are afraid of silence, and it's not for nothing they're afraid. It's not without reason. Many people avoid silence like it's a plague because it forces them to face extremely uncomfortable truths about themselves. In deep silence, there's no way to escape from who you really are. There's no way to distract yourself with external noise. There's no way to pretend everything's okay when it's not okay at all. Silence reveals everything. It removes all the social masks you wear. It exposes all the wounds you try to hide. It shows everything you've been trying not to look at for years, maybe decades. And many people simply don't want to be revealed this way. Don't want to face their own emptiness. Don't want to admit their own flaws. Don't want to recognize their own responsibilities. That's why they fill every second of life with noise. Loud music playing non-stop. Television on even when not watching. Constant superficial conversations about nothing. Social media scrolling infinitely without purpose. Anything to fill the empty space. Anything to not have to be even 1 minute alone with their own thoughts. Because being truly alone with yourself, in total silence, requires brutal courage. It requires facing the internal void. It requires facing the open wounds. It requires facing the wrong choices from the past. It requires facing the lost time that never comes back. It requires facing everything you could have been but weren't. And not everyone is ready to pay this emotional price. Not everyone wants to face this. So they run. They fill life with sophisticated distraction. And they call this living intensely. But it's not living. It's running away in a well-crafted way. It's emotional anesthesia disguised as an active social life. You chose the completely opposite path. You chose to face all of this head-on. You chose to feel everything, no matter how much it hurt. You chose to heal in silence, no matter how uncomfortable it was. And this puts you on a level of consciousness and emotional maturity that the vast majority of people will never reach in their entire lives. Peace isn't boredom. I need to repeat this because it's very important that this is clear. Peace isn't boredom. Peace isn't absence of emotion. Peace isn't a dull life. The world sells this constant lie that a calm life is a monotonous life, that whoever isn't always agitated isn't really living, that you need drama and chaos to feel alive. But this is a gigantic lie. Peace is achievement. Peace is the greatest prize for those who fought fiercely against internal and external chaos and finally won. Peace is what you gain when you finally stop self-sabotaging. Stop demanding the impossible from yourself. Stop completely losing yourself in the midst of others' expectations. Only those who never had real peace in life think it's monotonous or dull. Whoever has lived years in mental chaos, whoever has had their mind screaming 24 hours a day non-stop, whoever has felt completely lost within themselves, knows exactly the immeasurable value of peace. They know that peace isn't absence of emotion or life. It's full presence. It's living in a completely conscious, intentional, true way. It's feeling all emotions intensely, but without drowning in them. It's being completely alive, not just existing on autopilot. It's having real control over your own life, instead of being constantly controlled by it. It's being able to feel anger without destroying everything around you. It's being able to feel sadness without losing yourself in it for months. It's being able to feel joy without fear that it will go away. And this isn't boredom at all. This is fullness in its deepest sense. It's the place everyone should want to reach, but very few people have the necessary courage to truly pursue. Because reaching peace requires going through all the chaos first. And the vast majority give up right in the middle of the path, go back to the familiar noise, and never discover what exists on the other side. In the end, at the end of this entire journey through silence and internal alchemy, the greatest victory isn't being understood by others. The greatest achievement isn't convincing the world that you're right. The true victory is understanding yourself completely. It's accepting yourself exactly as you are. It's choosing yourself every day, even when nobody else chooses you. By deeply loving silence, you didn't just find external peace. You found your true identity. You found your essential truth. You found yourself underneath all the layers you had put on to protect yourself, to fit in, to be accepted. And you discovered something fundamental. You don't need a stage. You don't need an applauding audience. You don't need constant external validation to exist fully as a human being. You're whole within yourself. And this is real freedom. Not this false and superficial freedom the world sells. It's the deep freedom of being exactly who you are without asking anyone's permission, without giving endless explanations. without molding yourself to fit into boxes that were never yours, without pretending to be what you're not, without lying about what you feel, without betraying yourself to please those who don't even really know you. And if there's someone who finally understands you completely now after all this, that someone is yourself. And you're in good company, the best possible company, your own company, and there's absolutely nothing more powerful than that. There's nothing more liberating than finally recognizing yourself completely, accepting yourself with all your imperfections, and loving yourself exactly as you are, with all your specific needs, with all your personal boundaries, with all your deep love for silence. This is your unique journey. And it's completely legitimate. It's deeply courageous. It's absolutely necessary. If you enjoyed this content, check out our exclusive material in the first pinned comment, and then continue with me to the next video.